What up, everybody? This is your chronically Caucasian vocal analyst, and we're going to look at people who had the audacity and the courage to go over Jazmine Sullivan's Pick Up Your Feelings. Okay, we're just gonna start out with Jazmine Sullivan and remind ourselves of the bar that's very, very high set. So. Oh man. So right off the bat, this little distortion thing here, this isn't just incidental, right? This is something that takes incredible skill to be able to do. And then she goes even further. So let's just listen to the tone again. That little fuzzy rattle, you need so little air to pull that off so that the folds go. So that's what you need in that situation. And then on top of that, as she ascends, she has, let me just get to the spot again. She brings her false folds together, which takes even less air if you're going to do that, because it's to get the color of strain, to get the sound of strain. It sounds grittier when you put your false folds together. But not only does she do that, which is hard anyway, she goes up and does it. So that's, like layers of difficulty. And yeah, that's Jazmine. So unsurprisingly, Jazmine sets the bar extremely, extremely high, even just from the get-go. Let's take a look at how Chloe Bailey takes it from here. Like, we'll see, right? Right, we're good. Oops, no, we're not. Now we're good. So I think this is really, really, really smart. I think this is really smart. The way that she starts, so we saw with Jazmine that raspiness and that all the chicanery to make that work, right? Really tough. And so when we get to Chloe, though, she starts it very different. She starts it breathy. She starts it high. This is how you do it. This is how you have to do it. If you play Jazmine's game, you lose, right? You're never going to beat Jazmine Sullivan. I don't care who you are. So I like this start right here. Listen, you say that I've been acting different, yeah. Funny how I finally flipped the script on you. Now, she's lip syncing, which is fine and totally common nowadays. So I'm not like ragging on her for that. And I actually think it's a smart idea. Again, puts it in Chloe's domain. Chloe is actually really good at production. It's a skill. It's a talent, right? People pay a lot of money for people who can produce really well. And she can do it for herself. So that's another level of, Chloe doing what Chloe does best. All right, let's listen to a little bit more of this. I finally flipped the script on you when you the one who double dipping, yeah. You so sloppy how I caught you slipping up. I will say Chloe's phrasing is immaculate. She's a really, really, really good musician. And she's approaching she's hitting the consonants a little bit more than Jazmine does. Like Jazmine's definitely when she's saying it's super chill and it's super good and it's super clean. But Chloe's just hitting these consonants a little harder. And it's good, right? She's making different choices, because you play Jazmine's game, it ain't gonna work. All right, so here's the stuff I love that Chloe is doing on the production end of things, right? Let's get a little bit here. The way that she's using reverb and delay is super subtle. So when you put on reverb, when you put reverb on something, it brings it back. It brings it to the back of the mix, or it sends it farther, right? The more reverb you have on it. So the trick to get a good, clean sound from the singer that isn't so dry, but has that effect, is to use delay. And so the repetitions are there, the effects of the slapback are there, but it doesn't put them in the back of the mix. And the balance here, it's like almost indiscernible, right? You almost can't hear it. And that's how you know it's done well, because it's super smooth. All right. Another thing that's going really, really, really well here for Chloe, that's super smart. Take a listen to how that guitar kind of comes in and out. It's tough when you have one instrument, and it's you don't have anywhere to hide. And if you ignore what the other person is doing, like I despise, like, how many shows have you seen like a singer just like walk out and be like, pianist, follow me, E flat. That doesn't happen. That's not real. All right. If you can't play along with your instrumentalist, you just suck. Okay. So Chloe is doing it right. Listen to how they trade off.
Grip got you slipping up. You're off the keys. Run me my keys.
Right? Like they're on the offbeat and then they're not. It's great. I love it. Rhythmically very, very playful. Okay. This is another singer. This is I'm so sorry. Larage. I don't know. This person messaged me. I think this cover's really, really, really interesting. It's very wildly different. Right? Immediately different. So this phrasing is a lot more similar to what we saw from Jazmine. Definitely the aesthetic is very different, right? The electric guitar. You can also hear a lot more, like, this individual's voice is a little higher. The EQ on the low, like not going for this low lush sound. It's actually quite bright. And there's a little bit of that boost right around 10 kilohertz. It's giving that sizzle, right? So it is different, but the phrasing and the rhythmic approach are similar. So there's a lot of elements of music, right? There's tone, melody, harmony, rhythm, right? So it's interesting to see what singers pick.
You so sloppy how I caught you slipping up. You're off the lease. Run me my keys.
Ooh. Okay, I respect that.
I caught you slipping up. You're off the lease. Run me my keys. No.
Right? That's fresh. I like that.
Brand new. Like the wheel. Back it up. No assist.
This phrase is actually deceptively difficult. If you just treat every one of those instances as like a phrase, and a phrase as a phrase, you have to actually connect these phrases. Otherwise, there's no journey, and the journey stops.
Like the wheel, back it up, no assist. Bank nigga, I ain't average.
So yeah, like that. If you just kind of put it too straight, it just sounds like it's chopped. So that's really it's really nice to see that most of the people we've seen cover that get that part right. Okay, all right. So it's been interesting so far. Let's look at another singer. This is Dondria. Again, if anybody wants to correct me on the pronunciation, please go ahead and tell me that I'm bad. So let's take a look at this. So again, very, very, very different approach. Slower tempo, and like it's interesting because it's very almost like angelic, right? Like they're going for this kind of ethereal vibe, and it works. Like the piano is really, really sparse. The accompaniment on the piano is up high, right? So that immediately is different, right? It's up higher accompaniment, so it's an interesting choice. I love this little yodel thing that she does here. This is something that I wish people would do even more often, because to me it's naughty, right? Your whole thing as an opera singer is to avoid that. So I love when people do it. And I talked to a singer once. Pop music was their thing. He actually did scale exercises with intervals where he would crack intentionally. Anyway. So the way that works, you hear how that there's a breathiness there, right? When you use your air, what you're doing is you're doing what's called the Bernoulli effect. Which to demonstrate this, I need 2 pieces of paper. All right. Bernoulli effect is why airplanes can take off. Okay. You see how those pieces of paper come together? That's how your vocal folds come together. You put in enough air and boom, they come together. What she's doing here is she's not using a lot of air. So some of the folds are coming together, but not all of them, right? We would call that a mix, right? So listen to how when she goes down, she's using a little bit more air and boom, the folds come together full. So it sounds like a yodel, right? Well, not my yodel, that's a disaster, but it sounds like it's an abrupt change because it is. The way that the folds are changing and the thickness of the folds are just so different, and it's just the tiniest bit of air, and that's the difference.
Say that I've been acting different, yeah, funny.
Ooh, smart EQing, right? Telephone EQing, right? Gets rid of the high, gets rid of the low. It's very popular.
All of these, run me my keys. No more popping up the hit, yeah. I ain't even got the...
So the reason why I really like this EQ is because the accompaniment is so high, right? This is a singer with a higher voice, right? Maybe not super high, but the voice is high, right? She's not singing in the basement. So, but the problem is with that is when you have accompaniment that's also high, all of a sudden you're fighting to be heard. And so what she's doing is she EQs out the voice and has the piano higher as well. Like the EQ on the piano isn't cut out. The low is, but not the high, right? Meanwhile, both her low and high are cut to make this sound effect.
Get up, no assist, main bitch, I ain't average. Wake up, need a zip.
Right. I like this little run here.
No assist, main bitch, I ain't average. Wake up.
That little jaw thing is becoming so popular, and there's a reason. It's really cool. So when you use your jaw like that, when you kind of like abruptly move it, what that does is it gives it sort of like an accent to that note, because it's like, right? Right? The second I start moving my jaw like that, and you know, granted it's not good, but I'm not good at it. But when you move your jaw like that, it gives an accent to the note, which helps the contour of a run, helps the contour of a phrase. And it's a really cool trick that's becoming more popular. I don't recall Jazmine doing it that much. So again, differentiation. Smart. You're never going to be Jazmine on her turf.
Get up, no assist, main bitch, I ain't average. Wake up, need a zip.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Let's check out some Jazmine again. Refresh her memory. All right, let's go to something crazy different here.
Take a sip, look at my jeans. I'm too big, I ain't got no room for extra baggage.
The delivery is so calm. And that's not a bad thing, right? Listen to the vowels, her vowel choices.
Take a sip, look at my jeans. I'm too big.
She's close up to the microphone and her lips are really kind of relaxed and pursed like this, which is going to give you a lower sound. Right?
I ain't got no room for extra baggage.
And that her phrasing is so smooth. She carries the rhythm of the phrase, like she elongates things, right? She doesn't go da-da-da-da, da-ba-da-ba. It's more like da-ba-da-ba-dum, da-ba-da-bum-dum, right? It's like it carries over a long arc, which I really, really appreciate.
Extra baggage, so don't forget to come and pick up your...
And she, so these little details are incredible to me. Listen to how she does this like fry thing, like that. She starts that. It's incredible.
Take a sip, look at my...
That, right? That little detail That's what Jazmine does so well. Is it's so involved, and she doesn't advertise it. It's just she's got these little colors. She's a master of tone.
Extra baggage, so don't forget to come and pick up your.
All right, love the backup singers here. Let's get another one. Let's see how people handle that phrase. Let's take a look at Chloe again. Okay, this is how Chloe does that section here.
Maybe trying average, wake up.
Smart, right? And this seems to be a theme when people are doing these covers, which I think is, again, smart. Don't go in Jazmine's territory, and you'll be better off. A lot of people are taking these phrases higher and then going down, as opposed to the down and up that Jazmine uses. It's not that Jazmine can't go high, obviously she can, but the attribute of Jazmine's low end is so smoky and so distinct and so luscious that if you're in her territory and if you go and do that low, it's going to be rough. You're not going to be able to do it well. So at least not as well. So this is smart.
Take a sip, I got my jeans, I'm too thick, I ain't got the room for extra baggage.
Chloe does such a good job, again, with these consonants. But I also like, as she does this run downward, she's rhythmically switching it up.
I ain't got the room for extra baggage. Don't forget to come and pick up your.
Nice. So what she's doing there, you don't see it here because this is dubbed, and again, that's not a problem. But what she's doing is, ooh, right? It's like a little bit of the tongue going down. Ooh, don't forget, right? And that's something you don't want to do often. But if you're in your low and you're doing it with very little air and you get out of it, it's a different sound. It's a sound you can utilize, right? It's not a good idea to try and do that in other parts of your range. And it's not a good idea to do that and put a lot of air through it. But you can use it the way that she just did it in order to get a different sound. And let's hear that run again too.
Wake up, need a sip, energy, take a.
That's so cool. And the rhythm is different too. Da-da-dee-da-da-da-da-da, right? It's not straight da-da-dee-da-da-da-da-da. No. Da-da-dee-da-da-da-da-da. That matters, right? Stuff like that really matters. Okay, next up is Alicia Creety. Sorry. Alicia. Let's give it a listen.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Oops.
be
There we go.
singing "Pick Up Your Feelings" by Jazmine Sullivan. A lot of you requested this song, so I want to do the full cover. So here it is.
From her speaking voice, you can actually tell that she has a really low and rich voice already. So I'm excited for this.
It's by na, 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 oh.
There's some really cool stuff going on. The audio quality it's not bad, but we have to keep this in context, right? Some people are not going to be able to professionally mix, so we have to talk about the technique and not necessarily how it sounds. And we also need to be mindful of that. What's missing from the audio production here is like the sizzly high end. The high end does two things. When you have that high end boost, I'll show you now what that's like. When you have that high end boost, it sounds like you're closer, right? And it sounds a lot more sizzly. But when you don't have it, it can sound like you're not, I don't know, it just sounds different. It's very common to EQ up those high frequencies when you're doing vocals. So that's what's missing here compared to the other versions. But, it's not the singing technique.
Na, 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 oh.
I like some of this stuff. There's nuance here. So that kind of like fry rattle thing that Jazmine did on the low end of some of these runs, she's actually starting that up higher.
Na, 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 oh.
That. It's like just for a split second. So I think that was interesting. to use an aspirate at the end of that too is really nice. I thought that was really cool. What she's doing there, and again, you gotta make details. You gotta make it rich. If you want to do, I mean, if you want to do a good performance of anything, but if you're going to do a Jazmine performance, I mean, good luck. So what she did there was, as she went up, she started to use less air so that the folds gradually came apart. And then it turned into an aspirate. It was an aspirate. The H sound is an aspirate. Listen to this.
They put the script on, yeah. When you the one who's double dipping, yeah. You so sloppy, how I got you slipping now.
Yeah. The different vowels, the different croakiness to get that right. So a lot of interesting decisions here. Okay, let's head back to Jazmine Sullivan. Let's get a little different stuff here. See what she's doing.
Yeah, I call that bitch. Gas way too expensive. No more benefits. Gas way too expensive. No more benefits.
That's so preposterously clean. So before we talked about that little jaw movement, right? To add like an accent, right? Whatever, like, you know, not the terrible opera singer that I am, but she's doing that, but without doing the jaw thing, right? Listen to this one again. Right? Doing the breathy thing is really, really interesting as a way of like getting off the phrase. What it does is it does two things. First of all, it ties off the phrase. It's a little bit of a decrescendo. It's a softer sound, but it's also in contrast to how she starts these phrases. Duh, 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 right? So you get a really nice contour of a phrase there.
Need a ride, call that bitch. Gas way too expensive.
And these little quivers, these little wavers of the voice to give each note in the run its own life.
No more benefits.
Right? Come on now.
Papa. Too expensive. No more benefits. Papa. Hairstyle.
Okay, now I feel like I'm just being mean. How does anybody follow that up? That's complete lunacy. Let's see Chloe here.
Boy, pick up your
Gorgeous. And a good decision. What did that low run sound like again, Jazmine? Oh.
So don't forget to come and pick up your ear.
It's so clean. Her singing is so clean. It's unbelievable how smooth. That's incredibly difficult to go up high and then go low and have it all be seamless, but then also, and this is what's bonkers. So even scales, top to bottom scales, right? This is something that, you know, classical musicians, jazz musicians, R&B, right? But the difference here is that she knows how to exaggerate the vowels. So when you have a vowel, what is a vowel? Let's talk about what a vowel is. A vowel is an orientation of the vocal tract, right? And we call them vowels. And humans are so amazing. We know the difference between all of those little differences. We notice those, right? So we know it's an E vowel. We know it's an A vowel based on the vocal tract. But when you sing, you can mess with that to get tons of different color, right? If I do, right, I can get so many different colors and tones. So normally what you do is you practice making these changes so subtle top to bottom so that you sound smooth, so an even scale. That's not what she did here. It's not that she can't do it. She just does it because she can do something different. She's going down and changing the vowels to be more dramatic in contrast to her high.
You need to hurry up, pay up your feeling.
That rasp up there is so hard. I honestly, I don't think I've ever heard anybody have as easy a time doing her rasp. Doing that rasp is extremely challenging. Actually, I had someone, I had a student recently who wanted to sing like Kurt Cobain, and we had to do a lot of work to make sure that this individual wasn't hurting himself, right? Because when you have those false folds together and they're kind of rattling, that's a lot of strain. But with Jazmine, you'd almost think it wouldn't strain, right? That's the danger of trying to copy somebody and not understanding like the challenge that you're taking on. And that low run is just so incredible. All right, I really like this one. This is very different. So I want to hear a little bit more of this.
Take a sip. Look at me. I'm looking rich. I ain't got no room for extra baggage.
Listen to this drummer, super smart. Look at how the drummer actually is like all around the singer, right? Very interesting choice.
Take a sip. Baggage. Don't forget to come and pick up your.
I love that. That's something that is very idiomatic to the genre that I really love. This little ooh, ooh, like this weird thing that people do. They raise their larynx and then they give it a little bit of nasality, right? It's just so cool. I try to point it out when it happens.
Don't forget to come and pick up your.
This. Right? There's very, very little room in the oral cavity when that's being done, right? There's a lot of nasality. Well, not a lot. There's a touch of nasality that's added to that. And then the larynx is high, which is in sharp contrast to what was happening before.
Don't forget to come and pick up your.
Oh, it's just super good.
Only no pieces.
Whoever did the mix here, I love how they did the drums. It's really, really interesting.
You need all the memory, all that shit. You keep it.
Yeah, that's incredible. I really do. I respect the people who take this on. I mean, this is Herculean stuff right here. Let me hear a little bit more of Jazmine.
Don't forget to come and pick up your feeling.
Oof.
Forget to come and pick up your feeling.
She's so good. Her technique is so clean. It's so clean and effortless. And on top of that, she puts in all these little treasures. The raspiness, the belting, the changing of the vowels, her sense of timing, right?
Me of your feeling. Don't need no pieces. You need to hurry
I don't know, man. I just
and pick up your.
there we go. Honestly, I just think like Jazmine's probably just undefeated. It's a great tune. She's a great singer. I love listening to the different choices that people make. I do like it a lot.